Whenever I press play, I get a lot of advice from people. I share my introduction with them and they say, oh, you better be careful. And I have to think about it and I think, how can I be careful with what I say with my tongue? And how am I meant to protect myself against these individuals who have millions, if not billions of dollars to come after people who expose them with their dirty deeds? And I quander. And I think I can't really. Often I feel the work I do is like that WikiLeaks guy. But today is probably the most scary individuals that I actually go after. And there's quite a few reasons for that. One of them is they just seem to be getting away with it. And I've exposed them probably more than anyone else I know on the planet. Pakistani software companies. Maybe something you're not familiar with. Well, these companies are stealing tens of millions from elderly American. And would you believe? No one is stopping them. It's investment fraud, it's elderly abuse, and it's evolving in terrifying ways. One company I caught running a massive fraud against Americans was also charged with fentanyl trafficking. This is a book publishing company charged with fentanyl trafficking. Companies like Abtact, I think I've said that right, Abtact are now rebranded themselves as Indices. They're ran by an individual called Azneem Bilwani, pulling in tens of millions every year. The total damage? Easily hundreds of millions, possibly billions, all by promising elderly Americans vast riches through book publishing and marketing services, trademarking, building websites, claiming that they're going to put their book in every bookstore, in all the airports, etc. And the FTC, well, they're barely touching it. Let that sink in. Criminal activity happening in America from other countries, and nothing is really happening about it. The same groups draining retirements accounts are now trafficking fentanyl into the country, America. Pakistani nationals are being flown in to serve as money mules, keeping the machine running. Who the heck is doing that? Would you mind stopping that? One of those mules is Ramin. Now, I practiced this over and over again, and I could not get this name right. It's Ramiz Moise. Ramiz Moise. I'm going to actually say it with my electronic voice.
Ramiz Moise.
Ramiz Moise. He recently posted on social media threatening to kill Americans through jihad in retaliation to the death of the Israeli supreme leader. This guy works for Azneem Bilwani, the same man who threatened to sue me in New Zealand, who actually did sue me in Karachi. Do you know that last year I had 6 criminal lawsuits against me, and 3 of them were in Karachi? They filed in 3 different courts to make it hard for me to represent myself. So currently, I have 3 court cases pending, and you can actually read about this on my Wikipedia page. But I digress. Today, we're following the money, an e-book scam that drained American victim Ron Foster from a staggering amount, while tracing it back to 2 Pakistani software houses. One called Saviors, and the other one ran by a group that I've exposed before. More to come. Now, here's the problem I deal with most days. I receive messages continuously from people claiming they worked for these operations, particularly Pakistani software houses, telling me their wages have been withheld and asking me to investigate the companies they worked for. And I honestly do understand the pressure that they are under. But the reality is this: I can't rely on their information. Many of the same people reaching out will be directly involved in facilitating the scams itself. Speaking to victims, selling services, and moving the money. The information they provide is often incomplete, misleading, or simply not trustworthy enough to act on. I don't get involved in employee disputes. Let's make that clear. I can't recover wages. I can't go threatening people so you get your wages for what I believe scrupulous activities may have been happening at the time you were earning your wage. And I won't publish allegations that can't be independently verified. Where I do focus is where the impact happens and is confirmed by victims like Ron Foster. Because when I can verify what was sold, who was involved, and how the money moved, I can expose the operation properly, warn others, and cut the revenue stream off that keeps the scam alive. Stopping the money is how the scams collapse. And that only happens when the story is told by the victim's side, not the people that help run it. So let's get into it. And I'll explain a little bit more as we go on. But this story was really cool because, as I said, I get contacted probably on a daily basis, if not more, from victims who work for Pakistani software houses, claiming they want my help to get their wages back. And I have previously published stuff and had to redact it because I found out after research that I didn't quite have it right and it wasn't worth publishing it and exposing the wrong company. And I do say because these scams are shocking. Not only have they set themselves up in America and defrauding Americans, but in Pakistan, they run a lot of the software houses with Pakistani people, offering them amazing wages. And then if they don't reach their sales quota, they starve them of their wages. So on one hand, I'm working for the Pakistani people that are working for these software houses. On the other hand, I'm trying to save victims that are in America. But in the middle, we've got these corporations that are making millions, if not billions of dollars by running these scams, who are just defrauding their own people, Americans, and taking the money. One of these guys even drove around in $4 million worth of sports cars in Pakistan when the daily wage for somebody, I think, is $4 a day. So you can see that the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. Now, if you are on my website and you want to support the work I do, I have a support button on the bottom down here. Go to deheck.com, or if you're in New Zealander, it is actually 16 minutes past 10 on Sunday morning here in New Zealand. So you can go to danny.co.nz and find my website. Or if you're in Karachi at the moment, it is 16 minutes past 2 in the morning. So I don't think we're going to have many Pakistani people here watching today, but you'll be watching the rerun, no doubt. And if you've been following the other scams that I've been busting lately, like busting Goliath Ventures Inc., most people in Orlando. And right now, I think it would be fair to say it may be afternoon, maybe 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I forget because I think Mountain Time clicked in. This is my website. As I said, you can click support me and you can donate anonymously if you want to support the work that I do. I don't make enough money from YouTube to merit the time and energy I put into my research. And at the moment, I'm going back financially. So any support, even $5, does help me. And also on the other side of my website, there's a little wee coffee button down here. You can click on that and you can also support me by buying me a cup of coffee. You can hit the join button under the video and become a monthly subscriber, which is very much welcomed, especially at the moment. And the other thing I always say to people, if you do subscribe, which I have a button that helps people see that button goes bing. I wonder if I get it right today. Oh, not too far off. Ding. When people subscribe, a lot of people watch and don't subscribe. No one can see who's subscribed to my YouTube channel, so your privacy is protected. And I always say, Sadie, she gets paid nothing around here, but she's one of my keenest workers. She's always keeping your computer screen nice and clean, and she does a brilliant job. So that's all the ways that you can support me. Other ways you can support me is just hitting like on this video right now. Now, I have a website that's continuously attacked. People are trying to bring it down, but it's now protected by Google Project Shield. Now, if you look along the top of my website, you'll see that I have been mentioned recently in a few newspapers, especially for the work that I've done with Goliath Ventures, so the Orlando Sentinel, and just recently I've also been mentioned in this article here. And this is the first time somebody has actually given me credit for blowing the whistle back in September the 1st, 2025 in Goliath. So do check out those articles if you are on my website. You can see I've got 3 new blogs, but the one we're going to do today is Ron Foster. Now, Ron is a character, and when he contacted me, he actually paid for my time. He paid me $50 to have an express chat with me, and he also donated me a coffee. And we were fast asleep one afternoon after having a long day, and I missed it. And he was panicking that he may not get the opportunity to actually talk to me. But we rang him. He was 3 o'clock in the morning, and he was telling me the story of what has happened. This guy had already published 70 books, and the blog explains it all, and I'm sort of going to double up here, but I just want to tell you my version of it. He's a character. He's a nice guy. He doesn't like being called a doomsday prepper, but most people in the world will probably know the books that he writes is helping people survive when they have nothing. I did make it open to him, and he said he's more than welcome to pop up on stage. He sort of hesitated a little bit. He said, I've got pretty big balls, but I'm not sure if I'm brave enough to come on your live with you. And I said, that's fine. But we have had a good conversation, and we do have a good relationship. One hell of a nice guy. If you want to support Ron, you can actually come down here, and you can actually click on his name, and you can go off to his Amazon library. He is a publisher that actually has over 70 books on the internet. And even with his experience of publishing books, he still got bitten by the Karachi or the software houses, which is really, oh, look, somebody's just donated. That's very generous. Thank you very much for that. It's very nice. Somebody just gave me a super chat of $10. That's very kind. But what I'm getting at is this guy knows how to survive in the wilderness. He is a publisher of 70 books. They provided him contracts and believable documentation where he thought he would hand over $50,000. And then he realized it was a scam. And once he found out he was being scammed, he did what most of us want to do, go to the FBI, Homeland Security, your local police station, report everything. And what he quickly found out is that nothing happened. And he thought, well, I'm not going to stop there. His survival instincts kicked in, and he started up 2 lawsuits against these companies, even though these companies are ran by Pakistani people, but they're based in America. And the companies, he even served papers to them and found out they didn't have real premises. So there is a lesson to be learned here. If you are a publisher and you want to have an author, I should say, what do you call it? You're a book writer and you want to have your book published, there's some due diligence that you could do well before you got to the stage of handing over your money, rather than waiting until you've lost your money and then trying to go after these guys and realize that their offices are all, shared office spaces, that they don't actually have anyone. Serving them is going to be hard work. And there's lots of flags that he can see now. So he wants to speak out. He wants to create awareness, and he told me his story. And this is absolutely right up my alley. I can't go head to head with these companies who have got millions of dollars, but I can tell victim stories. I can follow the money. I can tell you the companies where they were registered. I can tell you who, the company owners are. But we all know that the real people behind it are outsourcing the work back to Pakistani people, and they're working for these large companies. And we did track where this company originated from. So the only thing I can really do is probably read the blog and tell you a good story about an amazing individual who was brave enough to tell his story. As I said at the start, we are dealing with companies that have millions, billions of dollars, and they literally phoned me up. One of these individuals phoned me up, offered to fly me over to Pakistan so I could highlight the problem that this guy had with his companies, and then he said he would fix it. But I think I wouldn't be coming home. And then when I said, no, I'm all good, thanks, he said he would send somebody to New Zealand to talk to me, and I could tell him where they had the problems in his company, and then he would fix it. And I said, I'm all good, thanks. So these are dangerous people. And as you'll find out, that not many people want to speak up. So the moment someone asks you to pay money to release money, you're no longer dealing with a business. You're dealing with a scam. Now that's exactly what happened. And I'm going to tell you snippets along the way because this story is fresh in my brain. And every time I think about it, I just go, oh, this is just disgusting. But they alleged that Ron Foster had sold over $300,000 worth of books. And for them to release his royalties, they demanded that he paid $18,000. This is a company that is registered in America, and it's just unbelievable. Now, other things I have done, I've done a lot of Software Pakistanis blogs in the past, and I'm going to jump the gun here before we read. First thing I'm going to do is find the actual company. So first of all, I don't add the links, because if I add the links without the square brackets in them, that gives them clout on the internet. So this is one of the companies that he's gone after, and this is still active today. Now, the shocking thing about this company is if I search for this company, and I haven't done this, and I might do it, and I search for this company on Google, often you will find that they're paying for paid advertising. So here's a company here. They've got a premises, they've got 14 Google reviews, and they've got 4.4 stating. So these Google reviews are just rubbish. They don't mean shit. In fact, Google shouldn't have this company listed on their website. But how do we contact Google, and how do we take down this website here from Google's index? Normally what happens is this company will be doing paid advertising. And we have seen receipts of millions, and I'm talking millions of dollars. I've seen Google AdWord campaigns from these companies that have been given to us in documents where they have spent millions of dollars advertising with Google. Why is Google taking money from companies that are defrauding Americans and other people in Australia, Canada? I've got a database of people that come to me saying that they are waiting for their book to be published. Sometimes it takes a year and a half, 2 years before they realize that the book's never coming. And that's what these companies are claiming to do. So why are these companies allowed to be in here? Now, when Ron started sticking his neck out and started going after these companies and filing reports, when he was talking to me on the phone, which was just 3 or 4 days ago, there was another company called authorsuccesspublishing.com, and they have now taken their website down. So has Ron made a difference? Certainly has. And they've taken their website down. But this company, you can search for it on the internet and find it's registered in America and it looks legitimate. Theoretically, if I go author success publishing and I search for that, then we'll probably find Author Success Publishing New York. So here's their Facebook page, and so we just open a few of these. So you can see here that this link here is no longer because the website's down. And you can see that because I have published something recently, it's already in the search engines. And then you can see other people on Reddit are talking about similar, if not the same company. But when I come down to here, we can actually see that their Facebook page is still live. And you can have a look here. You can see that their phone number, and it is tempting actually now, Danny, when I see that there. I'm wondering if I should actually try ringing that phone number, which I think I would do it. Let's see if they've got a WhatsApp. Now, if you're corresponding with anybody on WhatsApp, now this is a publicly listed phone number, Google, in case you're watching this thinking that I'm doxing somebody. I'm just going to put that number here. But you can see that these, so who is facilitating these scams? So you've got a company here that's taken down their website because someone like Ron has decided to do a lawsuit after them and to make it harder for everyone to track these guys and identify them. They've taken their website down, but they've got sloppy and they have forgot to. So I'm going to ring these people on that phone number and see what we get. So here we go. Let's go. It's a New York phone number.
Record your message and press pound, or press star to contact the operator.
Let's press star.
To save message, press 0. To repeat recording, press 1. To verify your recording, record your message and press pound, or press star to contact the operator.
Nothing happened. Hello, I'm calling you about Author Success Publishing. I found your Facebook page. I'm trying to get on your website. It looks pretty good to me. I'm trying to get a book published. I'm a New Zealander. If you could give me a ring back on +64 for New Zealand and then 21 961 652. I'd like to talk to you about publishing my book. Cheers for that. So that's a typical. So if you come through here, you can actually see, all the stuff that they've been doing. They've got no reviews, but you get the idea. So Facebook, here they are hosting a web page. Now, I used to report these on Facebook, and what happened? Facebook shut down my Facebook account. Facebook shut down my Facebook account because I used to report these companies for running scams. And then people started complaining about me, and I no longer have a Facebook page. I had a Facebook page for like all of you guys, like 15, 20 years, whenever it came out. Incredible. This company here, Author Success, they've got 11 reviews. And on here, it tells me that their reviews are 3.5. I used to write honest reviews on here about how I was corresponding with these companies on Trustpilot. What happened? Well, my Trustpilot account got removed because Trustpilot does not want 1-star reviews. If you write a 5-star review, it will go there unscreened. If you write a 1-star review, Trustpilot's own system will come back and say, we need proof. So you don't have to prove to write a 5-star review, but you can write a 1-star review and be grilled. And eventually, after lots of correspondence, I started getting a whole lot of 1-star reviews. But if you come here now, because I literally, and you won't believe me even if I tell you, I emailed them 300 times. And now you can see that I, Danny DeHeck, have 6 reviews. So I went through here and said these 1-star reviews that I'm getting are from nobodies who have not used my services because I don't provide any services. So they removed about 20 of my good reviews and bad reviews. I'm now left with 6 reviews. So if you want to write me a good review, it's much appreciated. Oh, Ricky's here. Big boy Ricky Daniels. Good man. But my point is, everything that you see when judging these companies, the reviews are often rigged. And Trustpilot is the worst one at it. Now, I've even written about Trustpilot and exposed them fully. And when the scammers come after me, it is absolutely ridiculous because they go to Trustpilot and they say to Trustpilot that I come after Trustpilot and not to be trusted. It is absolutely incredible. But if you go to Trustpilot and you search at my website, I actually did a blog on how I exposed Trustpilot and their bad reviews. And there I am looking at a 1-star review. But what I'm getting at, guys, is people like Ron Foster. He's tried to do his due diligence. He has a flip phone, one of those old flip phones. He doesn't have any social media. He said he doesn't have Facebook, but he's what you would call an old-fashioned publisher. He searched Google and he found this company and the other company, and he engaged both their services, and he's got the receipts to show that he's paid. It's not that he's not savvy, but he's still got scammed. So let me tell the story, and let me tell Ron's story, and let's get to know Ron, because Ron's a good guy. If you're stuck in the wilderness, he's the man that you want to buy his book. Ron Foster didn't go looking for trouble. He wasn't chasing hype, crypto speculation, or unrealistic returns. He was doing something far more grounded, trying to get his book published properly and, what's that word? Why can't I get that word?
Finally,
Finally earn from years of work. So this guy's got an experience. He's got lots of experience in what he does, and he wants to put it in the printed word and make it so other people can, benefit from his experience. What he walked into instead was a well-structured publishing trap that would cost him about $50,000 and drag him into a legal fight that he never expected to face. Now, if you know Ron, he says he's in the 70s. He lies. He's actually 67 years old, living on limited income and managing ongoing health issues. Ron is not the profile most people imagine when they Ron is not the profile most people imagine when they think of scam victims. So normally, in my opinion, it's normally the Black African community and everyone's over 50. Now he's retirement age, so he's not what you would think the scams would normally go after. And that's exactly why his story matters, because this is elderly abuse. Because what happened to him wasn't reckless. It was engineered step by step using professional language, convincing documentation, and just enough credibility to keep him moving forward without ever realizing that he was actually what he was actually dealing with. So let's get to know Ron. Ron Foster isn't just a junior. He's someone who spent a lifetime learning, practicing, and teaching survival in the real world. His work sits firmly in the prepper fiction space. Unlike most writers, Ron's books aren't just stories. They are built on practical knowledge, life experiences, and skills that could genuinely help someone alive when things are going genuinely keep someone alive when things are going wrong. So if you're in the wilderness and you've got access to Amazon, you want to go check out the Old Fart Survival Guide, one of his 70 books he's published. One of the most recognized books is Old Fart Survival Guide. Let's go have a look at that. And you can read all about that. It's not him in the picture. It's a guy that he was telling me about, and you can read all about the book there. So the link's there if you want to check that out. It captures exactly who Ron is. It's not polished theory or armchair advice. It's a collection of hard-earned lessons from lifetime of preparing for disasters, living off land, and adapting when resources are limited. Written for older generations, but equally valuable to anyone willing to learn. The book teaches everything from low-cost food procurement and fire starting techniques to survival strategies that don't rely on modern technology. And he definitely didn't have any modern technology. I was surprised to get him on a video. The message is simple. When systems fail, the only thing that matters is what you actually know how to do. And Ron knows a lot. His background, this is very impressive, his background usually broad unusually broad. Over years, he has worked as a gemologist, if I said that right?
Gemologist.
Investment banker, army soldier, Air Force airman, corporate administrator, and an entrepreneur. Roles that require discipline, structure, and the ability to think under pressure. Amicably, he has backed that up with multiple degrees in human services and energy management, along with certifications. I'll never get that word right.
Certifications.
I did get it right. In safety, disaster preparedness, and public protection. This is someone who understands risks, planning, survival systems at the level most people never will, which is exactly what makes the story comforting. Because if someone like Ron Foster, with Ron Foster's experience, someone who literally teaches others how to survive the worst case scenarios, can be drawn into a situation like this, then it's not just a case of bad judgment, it's proof that the system he walked into is designed to be believable. So I think that really says it all. So he's not a young fella. He's in the right frame of mind. He was good to speak to. He was connected well with me. He wasn't stupid. He wasn't hopeful. He was a realist, and he still got scammed by these companies. So the opportunity that looked legitimate. It began with what happened to be two professional publishing companies. I'm not quite sure yet actually why he went to both and not just one, but anyway, might find that out in the words. Prime Publishing Labs, which I gave you, that are still going today, and then Actor Success Publishing, and that was actorsuccesspublishing.com. Now, I don't know if I can actually show you this without going off track, but I think it would be fair to do so. But I just want to give you an idea of how rampant these companies are and why I've chosen to take this dangerous dangerous case on. So you can see, I'm just going to flip through here and see if I can find all my publishing videos. Not that one. Where am I? Oh, maybe not. Let's have a look. I might have just gone off track here, but let's. I want to show you something that you probably won't realize. But these are all the people that are behind a lot of these scams that are based and set up in America. And it's probably going to be, if I go into some of these ones here, I'll probably find them. But we've got all the documentation and the like. I just want to see if I've got... there we go. So if I go to this one, that one, and this one, you might be shocked. So that's the one I want there. All right, so now I've got myself in order. I should have had this open before we started. Right, so there's Asneem Bawani, and there's Danny, all dressed up in his boxing gear, going for the punch. And these are dangerous people to go after. But when we come down and we read this blog here, you will see I actually listed just a handful of the 1,000 websites that we've investigated. So if what I've done in this particular case, I've actually linked through to all these websites. And if you were, I've got 2 full stops in that one. I might fix that one. If you were searching Google, you would find that these, I'm just going to fix that because it annoys me. Where is that gone? You will find that all these companies have one thing in common. They're all doing the same thing, and they're swamping the internet. So I'm actually going to fix something that annoys me because I can't help myself. Oh, there it is there. Hold up. There. This is how ADHD I am sometimes. So I'm going to fix that one and fix that one. And I think I got them all. I did. And I'm going to update it. So next time, I always like my blogs to be good. But what I'm getting at is this one here has been taken offline. This was called wikipublisher.com. Now, Wikipedia may have gone to court and said to the domain name register they're not allowed to use that domain name, and that may be why that one website's down. The logo company. Now, look at the format of this website. Look at the logos that they've got. These could have all been generated. These are pretty flash websites. You will see this website advertised on Google. This website, Namecheap, that one's gone offline. So these articles were done. You see how they're slow. Amazon Publishing Pro. Now, Amazon literally took these Pakistani software houses to court and said they're not allowed to use Amazon Publishing Pro domain names, and a lot of these websites got removed. But in the meantime, it's like a minefield. They're everywhere. And you can see that these websites are here. They've all got a help button down the bottom. You put your name, your phone number in there, or you ring them up like I did before. And before you know it, you're in this flashy website, and you can see that you can get your book ghost written, for a diamond package. And before you know it, they're going to push you upgrades all the way along. But you can see a lot of these websites have now been removed, which is disgusting. And that's why we've gone quite heavily at exposing these companies. And we've even gone to Google and asked them why they are allowing these organizations that we've proven go back to these big companies, why they allow them to advertise. And they're everywhere. We could show you 1,000 websites like this that are all on the internet. So if you come along here and you search book publishing, if you just go book publishing USA, then you're going to find you got Fever, but you don't know what companies to believe. You don't know who's advertising, who's not. And before you know it, publishingweekly.com, I don't even know if this is a real company, bookpublishingusa.com. I mean, you go to, this could be a genuine company. This could be a scam company. They claim that they've been in Forbes, but when you click on it, it doesn't go anywhere. You can pay to be in Forbes. How is somebody meant to know whether this site is legit or not? And you have no idea. And most of them all have grab a free quote. Put your name, email, phone number in there, and it's absolutely impossible. So my recommendation is do not go on the internet and do not search for a book publishing company. Keep it local. Go and do your own research before you get scammed, unfortunately. And it doesn't matter how savvy you are. It doesn't matter if you've published 70 books and you know how to do it. Now, Ron told me that he does self-publishing, so he thought that he would try using the professionals. Anyway, on the surface, everything looked credible, as I've shown you. The pitch was simple and believable. They won't publish, they would publish, distribute, and market Ron's book to the wider audience. There's where I'm going to read some of this because I'm not quite in the flow today.
There were contracts, structured packages, clear explanations of costs, timelines, and expected outcomes. Nothing felt rushed. Nothing felt out of place.
Yeah, so I've seen the receipts and I've seen what they said they were going to do, and I've actually embedded some of them in this blog if you want to go to the blog and have a look. Over time, Ron committed tens of thousands of dollars into the service, believing he was making a calculated investment in his future as an author. He the process appeared organized, responsive, and professional, exactly what you would expect from a legitimate publishing partner. And that's what makes this stage so important, because there were no obvious red flags. Well, at least for Ron, there wasn't. When you do this every day like me, I see it first. I'm always suspicious. I don't even know how to identify a legitimate company these days. You could just about say no pressure tactics, no unrealistic promises, just a reality built on trust. This wasn't a rushed con. It was a casual affair. It was a slow, deliberate process designed to look legitimate at every step. The moment everything changed, then came the breakthrough he'd been waiting for. Ron was told his book had been a success, not just modestly, but at scale. He was presented with detailed royalty statements showing that more than 30,000 copies had been sold, generating over $300,000 worth of earnings. The numbers were precise, the breakdowns were clean, the document looked professional enough to remove doubt. On paper, everything made sense for Ron. This wasn't just good news, it was confirmation that his investment had paid off. After everything he had put in, it finally looked like he was about to receive a life-changing return. And remember, Ron isn't flush with money. He's not a sitting back in your deck chair living the dream. He's a hardworking individual who is still providing a lot of help to individuals who want to know how to survive in the real world. I bet he's got a tale to tell now. And that's the turning point most people didn't recognize, because once you receive the money, once you believe the money is real, you stop questioning the system. You start expecting the payout. And that belief is exactly what the entire operation relies on. So their techniques, they're obviously telling Ron that he'd sold 30,000 copies. That stroked his egos. 30,000 people made an informed decision to buy his book. And also, he's got the $300,000 worth of earnings. So let's have a look at that breakdown. Now, this is what looked convincing, and this is Author Success Publishing. And in here, it talks about July the 17th, so it's not that long ago. And in here, you've got a whole breakdown, which you can read. The Preppers Road Match, Bug Out, basically the books that he's got written. Obviously, I haven't really looked too extensively in this, but it talks about what he sold in January, right through to March, and the amount of copies he sold. Was that the amount of money? I don't quite know how that works, but if you go through this, you'll see everything I said. And they also explain exactly how and where they sold the books. I think they claim that they would put them in airports and people were just buying them left, right, and centre. Now, I've just been to America and back, and I didn't see people running out of bookstores with handfuls of books. Sorry, Ron, but You wouldn't know, would you? You wouldn't know, who's and where these books are being sold. I mean, how would you prove? So here's the individuals' phone numbers, which are public. These documents are filed in the court, so that phone number's all there. But there you go. So there's we sold $300,000 worth of your books, but there's one fundamental thing that made everything look suspicious. The payout wall. That shouldn't exist. It's his money. He's paid for everything. He's agreed to pay the royalties, but all of a sudden, there's a barrier. Just as Ron expected to receive the money, the tone shifted. Funds couldn't be released. No shit, Sherlock. There were compliance requirements which weren't explained to him at the onset, obviously. Legal process, final step that needed to complete before the payment could be authorized. This is called, in my opinion, pig butchering. And if you don't know what that expression is, it's when you take the pig to the butcher and they skin every bit of meat off the bones. And when they think there's no meat left, they go back and they keep going until the pig realizes he's got no meat left. And that's your money. To unlock the money, he was told he needed to pay another $18,199. That wasn't just positioned this wasn't just positioned as a publishing cost, it was framed as a final step to unlocking high return investments, making the entire scheme far more dangerous than the standard publishing scam. It was presented as necessary, a requirement tied to legal clearance, copyright issues, and financial compliance. It sounded official, structured, even unaffordable. Is that right? Unaffordable?
Unavoidable.
Unavoidable. There's no choice he's got. But this is the moment where everything falls apart. Because in legal publishing, you do not pay to receive your own royalties. It's really that simple, guys. That single request transforms the entire situation from business into advanced fee fraud. So let's have a look at what they gave him. So here's the contract. Author Success Publishing again. Ron, the amount he's owed, the purpose, and they've got it all written out there, so you can go and have a look at this. So maybe you're a publisher and you've received this. Ron said, "Cool Prime Publishing." They will. Is that Ron in there? Is it? Ask for Richard. Okay, I'll have that phone number. Don't put that phone number on the screen. I'll find it in a few. We'll go make sure I do that before I finish. We're going to ring up Prime. So here's all the breakdown, the agreements, and what everything's for. And there's the bank, the Chase Bank. So why is Chase Bank? Have they got a bank account? And why can we not ring up Chase Bank and freeze their accounts? We've done it before, but that is a possibility. But the money hits that bank, and then it bounces from one bank to the next. But you think the banks would be able to flag that account and put a hold on that account? It would be worthwhile reaching out to somebody at Chase Bank. But there's an account here, and this is what's been happening with Goliath Ventures. Large amounts of money has been dumped into these bank accounts, and someone's turning a blind eye, or money laundering. Now, notice something different here. If the amounts that he was paying previously were all under $10,000, and they do that because that's where the flags don't flap in the breeze. So that's why they keep all these amounts low. Now, it's interesting that is $18,000, and that would have flagged money in AML laws. I think if he deposited $18,000, it means it would have been flagged, but it would have been interested to see whether anyone. But the previous amounts, normally they try to keep them under $10,000 so it doesn't raise a flag. I'm not exactly sure, but I did see the receipts that he had, and each of them was $10,000 exactly. So I'm assuming that if you add up all those funds, it must be 30,000. I think it is. It's actually got over 30,000. I don't know. Anyway, what I'm saying is they keep these amounts low enough so they keep under the radar. That's what I'm trying to say. I should just say that, shouldn't I? But anyway, you can check out that if you want. Where the money is really going. As Ron started questioning the process, the structure behind the operation began to reveal itself. The payment institution did not lead to traditional publishing house. Instead, they pointed to accounts tied to separate corporate entities with names that had never been part of the original agreement. companies appeared at different stages of the process, each handling a piece of the transaction, creating distance between the people asking for the money and the services being promises. So it's just all chopped up. Maybe it's called money laundering. What initially looked like two publishing companies began to resemble something far more deliberate, a network of connected entities, each playing a role in moving money, managing communication, and limiting accountability. This is where, sorry, I'm not reading very well today. It's early in the morning. Where there were overlaps, shared details, repeated names appeared across different companies. So this is really quite cool because I think he's talking about a guy, Richard, in the chat room. I think that's Ron. Is that you, Ron? Mini. So I think it is actually. I can't quite see the picture, but I think that is Ron in the chat room at the moment. Nice to have you here, mate. So what he started picking up, because he would have picked this up with his training, is that people in different companies were the same people. You can tell by the way they write sometimes. And the responsibility keeps shifting. The deeper Ron looked, the harder it became to answer simple questions. Who was actually responsible? Everyone kept passing the hot bar of soap by the sounds of it, because every path seemed to lead somewhere else. So they just keep putting you in stalling tactics and the whole 9 yards. Anyway, the network behind the scam, this is where we stepped in. I've got an expert who knows how to research these companies, and we did a bit of research on Ron's behalf to find out who really is behind this scam. And my introduction nailed it. The more experience, as more experience has come to light, evidence has come to light, what initially appeared to be a single publishing company now looks far more complex. And entities such as Author Success Publishing and Echo Global LLC are not operating in isolation. Communications, payment information, and supporting documents suggest a linked network of companies and individuals, with recruiting names appearing across multiple platforms, domains, and business entities. Among those identified in connection with this network are, and I have to get these read, I'm sorry, but
Karim Y. Khan, associated with Echo Global LLC and publishing-related operations individuals including Mohammed Raza Hanafi and Mohammed Osama Khan, linked to a wider cluster of digital service brands.
right. Now, are they American citizens? No, they'll be all from Pakistan. But the companies are set up as American companies, and that's the real shady thing. So I'm gonna list all these companies.
These operations appear to extend across multiple business names and domains, including Ames Digital, Digital Roots, Treford Digital, Gridix Digital, Genix Solutions, Madtech Digitals, Incline Tech LLC, Next Zen Minds LLC, Digital Point LLC, Echo Global LLC, InfoSize Digital, and Stellars.
Yeah. So all those companies we've been monitoring for the last 12, 18 months. And those companies are all connected to the two companies, and the face value that they had. It's just ridiculous. What this suggests is not a single failed publishing service, but a multi-brand system where different companies handle different stages of the process. Now, when I went through that blog earlier on and I showed you all those websites, each of those websites are set up to do different things. Some are doing trademarks, some are doing websites, some are doing logo design, some are doing imagery, whatever they're doing, they're all got different purposes because they want people to come to them and say, oh, I want logo designed. And then they'll go, oh, you want a logo design? What are you doing with the logo? And they go, oh, I'm thinking of publishing my book. And oh, we've got a book publishing company here, and it's just the whole, that's why we call it the software, the Pakistani software. We call it the software publishing houses, because the publishing houses are everything to do with IT. Now, the IT sales in Pakistan on a 12-month basis normally is about $3.4 billion. So it's a big part of what Pakistani people offer to the world. Now, the fact is, in 2021, they got all their buildings raided, and we've actually been mentioned in some of these raids. as people who have provided intel on who runs these. But what they did is they've reset themselves up now in the real world, 6 different countries that we know of, and they've got people who have got citizenship in these countries, and their friends back home have said to them, can you set up a book publishing company in your name because you're an American citizen, for the use of a better word, and we'll run it all from Pakistani. So when you ring these American numbers, they're all routed back to people, and they might even set up a mini operation in America. So this is how it's really hard for anyone to stop. And as I said at the start, we've got all this intel. We actually had a case where somebody was going to get indicted, and we thought, oh, great, finally, someone's going to get indicted. And then we found out that the government, I'll let you pick what government, decided to give them a large fine instead, and they can continue. And we still don't know how much that fine is. So there's a lot of corruption going on, a lot of backhanders going on. We can't prove everything, but time and time again, we get the same results every single time. We get people like Ron losing money to these scams. It might be $50,000 today. We've had another lady that was $125,000. The guy that was selling her the book finished up trying to talk dirty to her. We listened to these phone calls. You know, these guys were disgusting what they were, how they got inside this person's head, and they got too. What happens is people get too, they get drawn in, and it actually gets to the stage where they're too much invested. That's the word I was looking for. In it, that they can't back out of it because they've got $100,000 or more money invested into this so-called book. And then if they do publish anything, it's crap. And it's not the book, because it's often, everything they develop is like questionable, not really good quality. It's like buying a Ferrari from China and then finding out that it's actually built on a Morris Minor frame. Some of the things that they produce are so crap and not worth the money you've paid, if you're following where I'm going with that. Different companies handle different stages of the process. Independent shifts depending on the client's interaction. They keep morphing along just to keep the client happy as possible, so the client can never really complain. It doesn't have any closure, doesn't have any finished product. It's just all hanging in the vine of not ready to be published yet. The same underlying operation continues under multiple names. The structure makes it significantly harder for victims to identify who they're dealing with, recover the funds, hold any one entity accountable. So when publishing becomes investment fraud, one of the most important developments in Ron Foster's case is how the offer was positioned. It wasn't just sold as a publishing service. It was framed as an investment opportunity, which is really good if you're going to go to court. Victims are reportedly told, put in about $18,000. Expect returns of about $100,000 or more. Your book will generate passive incomes through the distribution that they promise you. At that point, the model shifts completely. When they're offering those sort of things, it's no longer about editing, printing, or marketing a book. It becomes investment fraud. And this is good because you can go after people for investment fraud, business opportunity fraud, and potentially the unlawful sale of securities, which is even better. Because when someone is promising fixed or high returns based on money invested, especially without regulation, licensing, or transparency, they are no longer offering a service. They are selling a financial product disguised as publishing, and that changes everything. So that's the really good news about what this company was offering. Excuses, delays, and shifting stories. When Ron pushed back, they refused to keep paying When Ron pushed back and refused to keep paying, the situation didn't resolve. It escalated. Instead of releasing funds, the explanations began to change. He was presented with documents he now believes were fabricated. New entries appeared in the conversation. New entries, is that, I said that right? Excuse my reading.
New entities.
New entities appeared in the conversation. Responsibility shifted depending on who was being questioned. The story never stayed the same for long, so they were on their feet thinking by the sound of it. At one point, the delay was blamed on legal compliance, which always makes me crack up. Then it became a tax issue. Are they now accountants, are they? Then it shifted again to administration and technical barriers. Oh my God. Each explanation sounded plausible on its own, but put together, they formed a pattern. Each time there was a reason the money couldn't be released. Each time there was a path forward, and each time the path required more time, more confusion, or more money. More time, more confusion, more money. That's brilliant. So after all this, Ron decided, I'm not going to play along anymore. This is where most stories normally end. People give up, people keep silent, people are embarrassed, they realize they've been scammed, they don't want to talk about it, they don't want the publicity. But Ron, well, he's a survival expert. People normally would walk away. They accept the loss and they move on. Ron didn't. Instead of continued to engage Instead of continue to engage on their terms, he changed his approach completely. He began to document everything: emails, contracts, payment requests, timelines, and inconsistencies? Inconsistencies, which is brilliant. What once looked like a delayed payout started to look like something else entirely. He stopped treating it like a business dispute, and he started treating it as evidence. And then he took the step that most victims never do. He filed 2 lawsuits. Good on you, mate. This is friggin' brilliant. I've represented myself recently in court and won the first case. The second one's coming up in Christchurch, New Zealand, and I'm looking forward to it now. And I realise that sometimes you don't have to actually go down the track. My first lawsuit cost me $33,600. The person that was trying to sue me in the New Zealand High Court for $3.85 million actually was ordered to pay $25,500. And I'm still $8,000 out of pocket. And they said, oh, don't worry, we'll cap that at $5,000 you owe the New Zealand taxpayer, and you need to pay that at $15 a week, which I'm still doing. But the guy never paid. So literally it cost me $33,000 to do a lawsuit with $800 an hour lawyers who were working on legal aid, because I don't have any money, for $200 an hour. It was their first case ever. But what I'm getting at is, after all the lawyers involved and us winning the case, they filed a discontinuance an hour and a half before the High Court judge opened the file. I was still lumbered with all the fees. Actually, the New Zealand taxpayer was lumbered with all the fees. And fortunately enough, it was capped at $5,000 for me, and I'm still, as I said, paying $15 a week. But what I've learned from that exercise is you can actually representing yourself. Now, Ron is a survival expert. He would have sat there, calculated how to tackle this court case and put in his own representing himself. So it hasn't actually cost him anything, probably just a bit of painful, but with the use of things like ChatGPT, was watching a documentary just last night where a YouTuber was claiming that the one profession that they reckon will be done away with is lawyers, because ChatGPT is providing brilliant legal advice, even though it says it's not, where you can actually put together a legal case using ChatGPT to structure it completely. And I've literally done this. And so far today, it's been 100% successful for me. Anyway, long story thing. This is what Ron has actually put in his first lawsuit with, and this is what he's claimed they've done to him. And listen to these words.
Verified complaint for fraud, unjust enrichment, deceptive trade practices, copyright infringement, conversion, breach of contract, tortious interference, intentional infliction of emotional distress, promissory estoppel, RICO violations, RICO conspiracy, and declaratory relief.
It's brilliant. I'm just going to see if I can find that that phone number that we want as well. I'll see if I can find that in the background. I'll see if I can do it while we read the next one. So isn't that a whole list of everything? Isn't that brilliant? I mean, I can't believe he's found that many things. It's like when I watch the car chases on the internet where the guy gets pulled up and he smashes up the car and he gets pulled out, and then they go, and he got charged with reckless use of a vehicle, not stopping, dangerous. Listen, they give you a whole list of things that they're going to charge him with. Anyway, let's have a quick look.
Complaint for damages, equitable relief, and motion for temporary restraining order, TRO.
Right. So I'm just curious whether this number that we've got. So that was very, very impressive. I want to see if I can ring this number that we've got here. I'll just put it into my phone. So the phone number on the top of the site there, Ron, is that actually the 88 number? Do you think they'll actually answer that, do you? That would be quite funny. And is it on WhatsApp? But you wouldn't know because you haven't got WhatsApp. You haven't got Signal. You've got a flip-top phone. So if anyone wants to buy Ron a new phone, I don't think he wants one. I think he lives without one. Let's see. Oh, call using that number. Oh, let's call it. It's going to be a toll call, but we'll have a go. We'll see what happens, eh? All right, so we're going to go back. I'm just bringing up this company here.
Thank you for calling Prime Publishing Labs. For sales, please press 1. For support, please press 2. We appreciate your call and look forward to assisting you.
All right, let's see what happens. I don't know if you guys can hear that. She's got music going at the moment.
Record your message and press pound, or press star to contact the operator.
G'day, this is Danny DeHick. I'm a New Zealander and I'm looking at getting my book published. I was wondering if you could reach out to me. I'm on WhatsApp if that's easier. +64 for New Zealand, 21 961 652. Just send me a message. Danny DeHeck is my name, DEHEK, and I would like to speak to Richard if possible. Thank you very much. I don't think they're going to ring me, Ron, but they might do. If I say my name, I think most people know me in, when it comes to Pakistani software houses. Anyway, not as a reaction. So he's done these filed these two lawsuits, not as a reaction, but as a deliberate move to force accountability into a system that depends on people giving up. So I don't know if I mentioned it there. We might be mentioning it in the future here, but what Ron, oh yes, we are about to mention it. He got no response from anyone locally. No one was going to help a 67-year-old man who's been defrauded by going onto the internet and searching for a book publishing company, finding a company that's based in America, using their services and losing $50,000 worth of money, and they never delivered the product that they claimed they were going to do. And they gave him the hope that his investment was going to turn into large amounts of money. Now, you would think all those boxes would tick everything that he could do to go to the local FBI, FTC, and different state agencies to help fight him, but he got no help, no support from any of those organizations, probably because they're swamped, overwhelmed, and all that sort of stuff because of the amount of scams that are going on at the moment. So that's why he took on this legal battle himself. A legal battle few are prepared for. What followed wasn't a clean resolution. It was the beginning of an entirely different fight. Ron Foster wasn't trying to recover money from everybody. He was trying to navigate a legal system he had no formal training in, while dealing with limited income, ongoing health concerns, and the sheer complexity of what he was up against. Representing himself, he began filing motions, preparing documents, and accepting to follow procedure, and even experience that even professional experience struggled with. So here he is. He's a survival man. He's now putting on his hat as a lawyer, and he's representing himself, and he has to follow the process. Now, I want to talk about the 3 cases that I have. You can't see them, but they're on the back wall behind me here. 3 cases that I've got in Pakistan. If I don't represent myself, they win by default, which means they could actually get my content removed off the internet, theoretically, because a high court judge in Pakistan could say, well, Danny didn't represent himself. He didn't want to get into a legal battle with someone who's got billions of dollars. So they win by default. And the judge gives it a stamp and he says, right, Danny, you didn't even defend yourself, even though you're in New Zealand citizenship, you're not based in Pakistan. So he wins by default. He's got more money than you've got, basically. Do you know what happened? I've had somebody else step up and say, well, he's taking me to court at the same time. It was another person that speaks the truth, and we're now shadowing behind everything he's doing. He's representing us. So I've got representation. And these court cases, if you go to my Wikipedia page, you can read about it. But if you don't understand how the law system works, if my content gets ordered to be removed, they'll have to go through Google Project Shield to do so, who's there to protect content. But YouTube may just bend at the knees because YouTube don't want to go behind legal. If they get a high court judge from Pakistani ordering to take my videos down, they'll just take the easy route. But what a contradiction, because you've got YouTube out there bending at the knees when anyone puts anything legal. I've had content removed because people have claimed there's a lawsuit against me and all the court documents have been written by ChatGPT. They still had the square boxes in it which said put date here. They had emojis in the court documents. And one of my ISPs that was hosting my website initially, which is WP Engine, I was with them for 12, 13 years. They got these fake court documents and they told me I had 30 days to move my website to a different server because of fake court documents. They didn't even read these documents as true and genuine. So this is what happens. And I spend most of my time actually fighting these people to keep my content online. So for somebody at the 67 years of age to start navigating the legal system because he wants to make a stand and doesn't just want to bend at the knees is so commendable. It is so cool. And that's what really got me interested in this story. So let's see, where did we get up to after that rant? Challenge. The communication didn't stop, accountability never followed. He tried to serve legal notices. Now, this is really interesting. So he tried to serve these people who have companies based in America, only to find that the addresses went unanswered. Entities become more difficult to locate. They don't have proper premises, and responsibilities seem to disappear the moment it was challenged. Communication didn't stop, but accountability never followed. Isn't that amazing? At the same time, he reached out to authorities, the FTC, the FBI, state agencies, only to, what's that word doing in there? I don't even know what that word's in there. How did that word get in there? And what does that word say?
Stolknúca.
Don't know what that's in there for. I'm actually going to ask that later on, but I don't know why that's word in there. Only to with another hash entity. Once money had been moved through multiple agencies, once money had been moved through multiple entities and layer structures, getting transactions become incredibly difficult. Now, that's what I'm saying. So he's got a bank account there, Chase Bank of America. It hit that bank account, it bounced into another bank account, bounce all around the place. So now you've got to find the person who's responsible for taking or collecting or moving the money around. And yet, despite it all, he kept going. Because at this point, it wasn't just about the money, it was about proving what happened and refusing to let it be ignored. No one wants to take up this case. Most people I go to, I remember talking to the IRS about $235,000 in connection to a $328 billion scam. And I remember it was actually Homeland Security said, how much? And I went $235,000. And they go, have you got any larger ones in there? They didn't want to go after it because it wasn't enough money for them to stick their nose into it. Because recovery exhausts the amount of time, and that's why they go after these small amounts of money. Because the only way that Ron is going to get any justice is probably to find somebody and hunt them down. Why this story matters. Well, what happened to Ron is not a one-off mistake or an isolated bad deal. It's a pattern, and it happens over and over again. I've been reporting on Pakistani software houses for such a long time. I get people every week coming to me telling me that they've lost money to a publishing scam. The system that has been represented across the publishing industry, targeting people who are willing to invest in their work but don't yet understand how easily success can be manufactured out of paper. Ron was shown that he had sold over $300,000 in books and royalties that appeared real, structured, verified, just out of reach. And that's exactly how it works. You're brought in through something that looks legitimate. You're given evidence that your investment has worked, and you're told a significant payout is waiting. And then, right at the moment you expect to get paid, you're asked to send money. Not as a gamble, as a requirement. And that's the shift most people miss. Because by the time that request is made, the decision has already been engineered. The trust is built. The belief is locked in. And that's why this story matters. Maybe you are about to experience the same thing. Maybe you're waiting for your book. Maybe you've just received a letter in the mail saying, hey, look, we've sold $300,000 worth of books. And maybe you're just thinking, oh, well, I'll just pay that $18,000. It's only $18,000 and then I'm going to get $280,000. Maybe you need to stop. Well, you do need to stop. Because if that has happened, if that can happen to someone like Ron, someone with decades of experience, discipline, real world understanding, then it can happen to anyone who believes finally it happens to anyone who believes they're finally about to be paid for what they're owed. So imagine the feeling of this as well. Not only are you thinking, oh, do I have to pay another $18,000? You're thinking, finally, I've found a way to generate money being an author, and I'm entitled to $280,000, which is left, you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden you realize it's a scam, and you've lost $50,000 on top of all that. It's actually gutting. I think he's handled it really well, actually. This matters more than ever. What makes this case particularly serious is not just the money involved, it is the structure. You have a service that appears legitimate on the surface. They've got registered companies in America, a payout model that mimics investment returns when they're not investment companies, a network of companies that obscure accountability. I think that's obscures accountability. They keep passing the hot scone, and victims being encouraged to commit larger amounts based on promised profit. That combination moves this beyond a typical scam. It places it firmly in the territory of coordinated financial exploitation, targeting individuals who are trying to build something meaningful, not gamble with money. So these people aren't going there thinking, oh, with Goliath Ventures, the big scam I've been busting, people were told, if you give me $100,000, we're going to give you 3% return per month. So they get 3%, $3,000 a month on their app, and they were told that a good idea is to hyper compound it. If you hyper compound it over a year, you're going to get like 42% return per year, which is unheard of. So what I'm getting at is Ron didn't do that. He was wanting to publish his books. And all of a sudden, it's more of a utility. He wasn't there gambling with his money. He was there as an author wanting to get a story out, getting people to publish his book. And then they said, we can distribute your book, and this is the expected returns. He goes, oh, okay, that sounds pretty good to me. Here's the official paperwork. A warning to every author. Now, this is where I'm not tired of trying to help authors, but, if Ron can get scammed, maybe you think, oh, no, my company's not doing that. Reach out to us. Tell us the company that you are using to publish your book. You may be surprised. We've got over 1,000 URLs and company names, LLCs, that are set up throughout the world, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, America. I think we even had, was it Singapore? I don't know, but there was, they're all over the world. And this is what they're doing. Right. Reach out to us if you have got a company and you're suspicious. We will find whether they are genuine or not and let you know whether you are being scammed. Don't think that the nice person on the phone is a nice person until we've grilled them. If you are considering publishing a book, understand this clearly. This is where people get caught. No legitimate publishing company will ever ask you to pay money to release royalties. It's not rocket science. Unlock earnings through compliance or legal fees. What are these guys? Accountants? Believe large profits are waiting before the final payment, as if they're like collecting all your money for your sales. if your books are on Amazon, I believe that your money should be coming directly from Amazon. I haven't researched that, but that's what I'd be thinking. That's not how publishing works. If someone tells you money is, if somebody tells you money is really, but you must pay, tells you money is ready, but tells you you need to pay to access it, you're no longer dealing with a publisher. You're dealing with a system designed to extract as much as possible before you realize what's happened. And by the time that realization hits, the damage is already done. You can't get it back, can you? Do you want to come up here, Pix? Come on, up here. Pixel, come up. Pixel wants me to pat him while I'm trying to work. Ron Foster is still pushing forward. He's a hero. Still fighting, still documenting, still trying to hold people behind this accountable. Not because it's easy, but because walking away would mean accepting that nothing can be done. That's exactly what that's exactly what these operations rely on. They expect people to give up, exhausted, and go away. And that's why they keep giving you these excuses. Silence, fatigue, people giving up. But this time, someone didn't. And if this story reaches the right person at the right time, it might stop the next $50,000 from disappearing into the same system. Because by the time you are asked to pay, because by the time you're asked to pay to get paid, it's already too late. If you have paid to access money you've already earned, the scam has already succeeded. You're just being asked how much more you're willing to lose. Oh, that's a good saying. So I like that's basically it. So what we've done, just in case you know, that we do open source investigations. You can actually hire us to do an investigation if you want. We've actually got that on our website somewhere. If you go to the support me, you can click on Koha. And when you go to, I think it's the shop, you'll see that we've got sponsor a review, support session if you need somebody to talk to, and express chat. So if you sponsor a review, you can click on that and it tells you what we actually do. And you may have been in the same boat as Ron. We will do a private review if you want, or public expose. That's what we've just done here. And we'll go through it and we'll give you our own 2 cents worth. Now, it doesn't mean that we're henchmen. It means that we will look at your evidence. So I got asked to review something yesterday from a car company that was doing a charity in Orlando. And we went through 25 documents to see whether this company potentially could be running a scam. And we didn't find any smoking gun. Well, not any real smoking gun. We did see a few things that were alarming, but nothing that was. So we're not here to be hired by companies, to chase down anyone running a scam just for money. What I am saying is, though, we have this, at the moment, we've got funding 50 full scam investigations and we're 28% through our goal. So if you wanted to support that, you can actually click on that and basically, contribute toward us doing investigations. We aren't going to be bribed to do an investigation, but when somebody like Ron gives us all this information, all the signed documents, the court documents, and use of a better word, it does make it a little bit easier for us to actually go through and build a full-on story and tell people what happened to Ron. I mean, Ron is an expert when it comes to survival. He knows how to listen. He knows how to interpret what people are saying. He knows how to help people. And somebody in his retirement years have come along and defrauded him. He's a savvy person, and they have targeted him and they've managed to fool him into going after the stuff, you see. So yeah, so that's basically our interview on that's our, I don't know, what do we call this one? We call this that's our review on the publishing companies that Ron has employed. And as a summary, we basically tracked it right back to Aznim Bawani. And we can see that this is rampant in America. As I said in my introduction, no one is actually stopping it. Companies like Abtec that have rebranded themselves as indices, as Neil Bawani is taking tens of millions of dollars from Americans every year, if not billions of dollars. And people like the FTC are hardly doing nothing about it. And we have actually proven that these same companies have been busted for importing fentanyl to America through the same entities. And as I said earlier, one of these companies were about to be indicted, and then they finished up getting a fine from the US government. And it was just amazing. But these guys are dangerous. And, to be honest, it's dangerous for me to even report on these individuals because they have got a lot more money than I have. And I've had phone calls from these leaders of these companies telling me that they'll fly me over to Pakistan to talk to me. I'd be coming home in a wooden box if I were lucky. So it is a dangerous thing to take on these companies. But if I don't speak up, who does? Ron, he's put a valid fight in to go after these disgusting individuals. Unfortunately, I don't see him getting his money back through the systems. And what is absolutely unheard of. Think about this. A company can register itself in America, provide a service of book publishing, not provide that service, come up with $300,000 worth of sales, alleging that he needs to pay $18,000 to release that money. And then when he questions it, they run him around in circles. And then when he goes to his local authorities to report those companies that are registered in America, he gets no action. He files 2 lawsuits against these companies, and then one of the companies just takes down their website. Another one of them, we noticed that we called, I don't know if you heard the phone call, so sometimes my audio gear doesn't send it through, but we phoned up both those individual companies. They had the same answering machine. I showed you that we've got 1,000 website addresses. We've got, I don't know, I'm guessing 500 LLC companies that are set up in America. We've got Google letting these companies advertise. We've got sites like Trustpilot letting people write 5-star reviews. And when people like me come along and write a 1-star review using Ron's example, I have to write hundreds of emails to Trustpilot to prove that I've got court documents. I've got correspondence, which you can't even put on these forms to prove that these companies are running a scam. And it all goes deaf ears. Like I said, my Trustpilot, I think the most I ever had reviews was 18 reviews, and they were all 5-star reviews. And then scammers come along and started giving me 1-star reviews. I literally had spent 300 emails to Trustpilot telling their systems are stuffed and they won't remove 1-star reviews from my site. But if I want to write a 5-star review about a scam, it goes up there with flying colors. I don't have to prove I've had any dealings with the company. I can create 10 Gmail accounts and I can create 10 5-star reviews. And when somebody searches Google, you find that this company's got a 4.4 star rating and they're registered in America. They even have a premises. But when you're having problems legally, you've got nowhere to stand, nothing to push back on. So people like Ron are amazing. He represented himself, filed 2 lawsuits against these companies. What's going to happen? Well, same thing that's probably happened to me. These companies are going to get ordered to pay a fine and the money's never going to tie up. The people that actually do have their names of the company don't probably run the companies. They're probably using people back home to run these companies. It's disgusting. Things have to change. How do we change it? Put messages in the comment field. I would love to know how to change these things because I don't have any idea other than doing videos like this to create awareness. And if we see them, we can cause disruption, but there's not really much we can do other than put a video on YouTube under the category entertainment, hoping that people are going to see what's happening. It's just amazing. Anyway, that's my video. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next video.